Hello, beloved, and welcome to another episode of the Wholeness Wisdom Well. Have you started becoming really weary of people saying you cannot figure this out and you have to become conscious, but you don't really understand the difference between consciousness and mind, and the universe is mind, and it all gets very confusing very quickly? Well, in this episode, I really hope to bring a lot of light, illumination, enlightenment about this topic, because it is critical that we understand the difference between mind and consciousness and what that really is to change our lives. I'm your guide, Lizette Morais, the founder of Arise and the creator of the Arise Sanctuary. So, let us take it from the top. Mind is our mental body, but it is more than the brain. The mental body is that which sorts, organizes, and directs the human life, right? So in my mental body, my brain is, of course, the number one organ, yes, but the mind is more. It is the experience, it is the perception of my experience, it is the way I organize thought, it is the total state of my memories, my traumas, my experiences, my beliefs, my perception. One of the scriptures that I couldn't understand was when Master Jesus would say, let those that have eyes to see and ears to hear. And I always used to think, well, that's a funny thing to say, because what do we have eyes for if not to see? What do we have ears for if not to hear? Are there people that are really not seeing? Are there people that are really not hearing? And so what I started understanding was he's talking about the activation of the pineal gland, which sits right in the middle of the brain. So you see, it is our brain, but it's also a pineal gland, and it's all, the mind is all of this working together with all of our content, our contrast, our experience. So that is mind in my definition. So what is consciousness? Consciousness is more than mind. Consciousness is the summation of creation power, source energy, life force. And one of the biggest myths that I know I'm here to debunk is one of the most common phrases used in spirituality, which is, life is an illusion. And I thought for many years I wasn't even spiritual because I knew that that was a deception, if not a downright lie. Sorry to be blunt, but it is time to be clear. So consciousness is source creation. It is the universe. It is the power in which divine speaks to us, moves through us, illuminates, empowers, regenerates, rejuvenates, all of those amazing things that consciousness does. So we can see that consciousness is universe, source, God. It is the summation of creation power and all that is. And mind is my human ability to perceive, so receive, right? And perceive, to transmute, and to transmit. A motor. You can see the mind as a motor. And I'll tell you why this is important. I was doing a retreat in April. It wasn't one of my retreats. I was invited as a guest, and I brought my singing bowls, and I brought my sound, and I brought my energy. And I was invited to support this retreat. And as I was supporting, and I hit the bowl, ding, and the divine field started opening up, and people started sensing and feeling the field, there was one man there who was a corporate executive, and he struggled with divine, with God, with all of this. And he was like, I'm skeptical. And I said, you have a right to be. So that's coming from his mind. Right now, his perception is skeptical and he's blocked. And I am not here to convince anyone about anything, right? So all I did was I started singing. I started calling in these divine energies that I represent and I am devoted to and I love. And as always, they came, which is us as well. So we opened up the field. And I think it was on day 2 that he was standing in circle, and we were going through another one of these sessions of music, and his pineal gland was activated, and he started seeing the other side of the veil. He started seeing divine consciousness. And I was looking at him and I saw him receiving the revelation. His body was shaking, tears flowing down his face. And I walked up to him and I put my hand on his heart to anchor that. Because when we open up that divine consciousness is real, we need to ground it in our heart. We need to harmonize our heart, our emotional body, and so I'm putting his hand on his heart, and when he opened his eyes and he saw it was me and he looked at me, he said, Lisette, it's only love. So much love, so much infinite love, so much light. And I cried, because there is nothing more beautiful to me than a human being waking up to the fact that they are unconditionally held, loved, supported, that they are an enlightened master who was simply separated from the source and from their source. And I said, yes, it is only light, it is only love. And then I said, but now that you know, please know, beloved, that you don't have to go out there and try to convince anyone. Or now it is up to you to take this love and be love in your world. You don't have to save the world, sacrifice yourself. What you need to do is hold that love and be that love as much as you can within your world and change your world. What do you think is going to happen when a person is awakened and filled with love and starts being loved to every single relationship, starting with their partner, starting with their family, starting with their extended family, starting with their community, starting with their team, and so the ripple effect continues. These compassionate, sensitive, attuned, aligned, powerful leaders. It was later that night that we were doing a fire circle, and the same man who was a skeptic 2 days before and now completely knowing, and not because anyone could tell him what was source, but because he could receive it, he actually really insisted that I come to the fire circle and that I open it up with this beautiful sacred song, this crystalline field. And he said, please, Lisette, share more with the rest. Now he was trying to show the rest what he had seen. And so I sat and I started singing. And what came forward was a revelation to me and for all that were there, but will really help you ground this understanding of mind and consciousness. And I was channeling from the divine field, and what the divine field was saying was, you don't know who you are. You don't know who you are. And that can trigger a lot of people, because like on one level, we really do know who we are. In that intimate of intimate, only we know what we've gone through. Only we know what we've had to endure and had to suffer, and how much we loved, and how painful betrayal has felt, and what we know what our dreams are. We know what we long for. And we just wish that everyone else would be different, so finally we can have what we want, right? So on one level, that's a very triggering statement. You don't know who you are, because hell, we do know who we are. But then the field really went into this revelation and said, it is not to offend you, beloveds, but it is to tell you that you are not just one thing in one moment. And this is the illusion of that personality, the ego that we so much talk about, that Lisette is one thing all of the time. The truth is, I am not. And then the field said, you are the one who represents. And that was powerful. And here it comes together, consciousness and mind. You see, beloveds, we are ever changing, ever evolving. In every moment, we are given the opportunity for new experiences in life to expand and to receive new things. So as a human being, I am constantly evolving. However, on the divine plane, on the soul plane, as it is also in scripture, God is unchanging. He is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So the divine is constant. There is natural law in consciousness. There is laws that cannot be broken. And so there is certainty, there is safety, there is permanence, there is a foundation, even though it seems like it's lost in space. And certainly it seems at this time on the macro level that everyone has lost their kind of grip of reality, right? But the divine says that it is constant. However, the human being, as a human, I am constantly evolving. So the human is ever changing. Lisette is never one thing. I will have moods, I will have revelations, I will transform, I will transmute, I will change, because I am energy. I am constantly in motion and ever changing. And I cannot die, because energy cannot die, but I will always be changing. Meanwhile, the divine within me is this constant, solid base foundation. So this is consciousness. And yet consciousness has many different, as all facets within it. So basically I get to decide which level of consciousness am I tuning into, and what level of consciousness am I choosing to represent in my physical human experience. And this is the work, you see. So let us talk more about how do we bring this divine consciousness into our everyday experience. And this is where the yogic wisdom, which was demonized by the church, right? Like you had to choose or Jesus Christ or the yogic traditions. And this is actually why I left the church. I believed in Christ. I had been in church for 22 years, and yet I could not believe that God didn't love a yogi, so I was fascinated with the yogic traditions, and the yogic traditions was all about unity consciousness and bringing this oneness, bringing this wholeness into our bodies. And this is why we need the chakra system. And what is the chakra system? The chakras are actually portals of consciousness within our very own bodies. But the determining factor of whether these portals of consciousness, and each of them represents, like we represent, each of them represents a different portal of infinite wisdom, of healing, and also of where life is out of balance and therefore is manifesting reality, or is manifesting our reality because of what energy we are putting forward in our life, and how that energy is actually literally coming into form. Now, this is all nice in theory. But how we actually do this, beloveds, is the journey of wholeness, what I call the journey of wholeness. And what I started seeing was that I was human, I was soul, and yet there is the spirit of wholeness, the Holy Spirit, the Christed consciousness, the example of Master Jesus, who displayed divine consciousness in a human being. And religion had taught us, in a way, that only Jesus could do this, while Jesus himself said, no, you will do these things that I do, and even greater things than these will you do. This was the promise. So once I spent 22 years devoted in the Christian church, in the structure of religion, and where I saw the reality of the divine spirit and the guidance of Christ. What I also saw was the dysfunction of humans, one trying to be above another and dominating and having to abdicate sovereignty in order to belong. This dysfunction no longer works in our world. The revelation I have of the new that we are creating is that we must walk side by side. While man was given, man and woman, while we were given dominion over the earth, we were not given dominion over each other. So we need to learn how to walk side by side with each other. And this is not just about people being aligned with your values, but do they represent? Now, I'm not just talking to you in this moment. What is in front of you in this moment represents every moment, represents my ancestors, represents my processes of purification, and also my struggles, as well as my joy and my insights. So I am always all of me in this moment. And because we have had such incredible experiences, so a lot of people have had near-death experiences where they've traversed the veil, they have seen what's on the other side, or they've had out-of-body experiences like this friend of mine had while he was at the retreat, where he went to the other side and saw the light, and then he was harmonized in one. So what we must do now is we must go to the chakra systems, and each of these representing, so in my base, in the root chakra, my security, my roots, my humanity, my sacral chakra, my sexual energy, my creative force, my womb, man or woman, energetically, not physically. Physical, we are binary, but in energetics, we are all of them, right? We have both masculine, feminine energies. The solar plexus, my personality, who I say I am, who I believe I am. And in this one, I have found that most everyone is struggling with this dichotomy of, am I too much? Am I not enough? Am I too much? Am I not enough? And all that is, beloveds, is here in the solar plexus, is that we have not allowed to integrate because we've not had permission. We have not had acceptance. We have not had understanding from other people to reflect back to us acceptance of who we are and where we are on this journey. And it is consciousness, right? So then we have our heart chakra, which is actually balancing all of them and harmonizing the earthly with the divine chakras, because then we have our throat. So from all of this, from my foundation to my creations to my ego personality, it refines through the heart, and then I speak. Throat chakra, this is how I express in the world. And I express in the world what I see, perceive, third eye. And that is illuminated through the crown chakra, where my higher self, where my higher dimensional consciousness can speak to me. The 7 chakras of the yogic system explain how the energetic body works, because we are mental body, we are emotional body, we are etheric body, and we are a physical body. So we are a multidimensional being. But everything in consciousness is available to you, but needs to be refined and allowed through the mind. Another example that I can share with you is recently I had a private retreat with a lovely, lovely lady from the UK. And she came for a private 4-day retreat with me here in Portugal. And on the first day, she had done so many courses, so many modalities, a therapist, a profound, wise woman, and yet so much struggle and paradox within herself. And it was like, I'm still broken, how can I still be broken? So day 1, what we did was we opened up all the jars of where she thought she was broken, and she shared with me, all of these things that she longed for that weren't working. How do I manifest it? How do I make it happen? And we just opened it all up. And morning day 2, she had no idea how we were going to fix it, but I did. And so she trusted me. And what we need to do to activate all of this is very simple. Alignment. Alignment of consciousness and mind. And what that means is I need to allow my mind to rest and relax long enough so that the answers from pure consciousness, from the absolute, from the awareness that transcends polarity and duality, to speak to me in a way that I can hear it with my heart. And so we can say that we are spirit, we are heart, we are body. These 3 yogic centers. And so what I did was I aligned her chakras first just with sound. And when we harmonized the chakras, and all she had to do was relax and be present and stay with it, I bring my medicine, which is the frequency of this consciousness that is refined within myself and transmuted within myself, which is the work I have done and evolved, and I'm constantly ever evolving, right? So I aligned those chakras, and then when we could open the field of divine consciousness and she could sit and rest out of that survival consciousness just for those 30 minutes without having to fix something, without having to judge something, without having to survive, to truly know she was held and loved and full, then I started asking her the questions she had given me on day 1. And you know what? She knew all the answers. She knew all the answers for her. And in that knowing was the complete inner peace, acceptance, understanding, and alignment. Now, again, we can know it in this field, and yet the journey of wholeness is to continue every day evolving, refining, transmuting, allowing to receive these enlightenments, to receive these awarenesses that we can put into action. Because again, I no longer need to be a personality. I no longer need to be something where people expect something of me and then it's dance, monkey, dance. I did that my whole life. And there is a time when we grow up, and I think this is the time that we are being called to grow up, in the sense that we don't have to compromise any longer with what is real within us. We no longer need to hide or be shameful, but allow and accept that which is in us, not projecting it on the other, but to realize that if I'm not happy with what's in me, it is up to me to sit with it and to bring it to divine consciousness and to receive the messages that are within my own soul. It's up to me to harmonize the human and the divine within, not to change anyone else. Because when we're in that state of peace and understanding and harmonized presence, then we can be of true value, we can be patient, we can be compassionate. And this is natural because that is the nature of the true human essence, I have found. I have been supporting people to connect to their unified field, to connect to their higher self since 2013. It was one of the very first ways that the divine showed me that beyond me being able to travel multidimensionally through my worship, through my song, through my love of God. But when I started seeing that I could also open up the field for people to receive their own crystalline clarity, this was very good, because, beloveds, I don't want to be a teacher that ever thinks that I need to give you advice or that I need to tell you what to do. Because guess what? You're not me. I am not you. So I don't know what's right for you, but you do. So all that it is really necessary to do is to be willing to trust and to open up. Master Jesus said that he knocks on the door. This consciousness of Christ knocks on the door, because it's not something that you can make up. It's not something that someone else can tell you, but it's something that's right there for you if you are willing to open your heart. And that is why, after all of this journey, I have decided that the very best and highest way that I can serve humanity with my unique gifts to activate their crystalline knowing and their unique gifts is to create the Arise Sanctuary. And that has become an app. And in that app, you're invited to check it out. It's for free. You can download it. There are various ways you can engage with it. God has always, from the beginning, wanted a one-on-one relationship with humanity, a one-on-one relationship with the individual. So the app is there for you in your pocket, and is going to be carrying lessons like this that will support your mental body, transmissions that will energetically infuse the auric field and activate the light body that you also are, your energetic body, or turning your energetic body to light. It is going to have meditation, so you can take your journey. And I've been serving people since 2013, and they are very universal meditations that I'll be adding on a monthly basis for the community, for the collective. And also they will be these soul songs that support our emotional body, supporting our emotions to transmute from heartbreak into breaking open the heart, so I can truly trust, truly feel, truly allow, again, love to flow, which is our divine power. I did not spend 40 years in meditation to be able to do what I do. What I simply did was know that Christ consciousness and that which he represented was real, and that was a revelation. And following this spirit, following this journey. So I really hope that this podcast has clarified what the mind is, your motor to perceive consciousness. And I believe even on the macro level, this is why it's said that the eyes are the windows to the soul, because indeed this is where the information comes in, which affects how we think, which affects how we are programmed, which affects how we feel about life, what we perceive is real, what we perceive is true. And that does become reality, because you are a very, very powerful creator. And I know that once we clarify, once we purify, once we transform how we see our perception, then automatically our attitude is different. And perception and attitude is everything. So this is why also an attack on our psyche is through what we are watching, our mobile phones, and what we are seeing, what we are perceiving as real. And sometimes to see the real truth, what we have to do is close our eyes and go within. And my only hope is that I can support you as a guide, and this is the invitation to the Arise app. But if that is not for you at this time, I want to encourage you that you have the answers within you, right there at all times, knocking on the door. I want to wish you all my love and every blessing. I hope you enjoyed today, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care, everyone.